Hi guys, this is Hiro. How's everyone doing today? Aj bada kemcho, aj sab kaise ho. So today I'm going over Mars's transit in the sign of Leo. Okay, now this transit occurs between around July 1st to August like 18th ish of this year of 2023. Okay, so beginning of July to like middle ish, slightly more end of middle August. Okay, exact dates will be in the video title. But so Mars is transiting the sign of Leo. Now, Leo we know is owned by who? Sun, right? So we know Mars his main sign is a fire sign, okay? And now Leo is another fire sign. So there's a lot of this fiery energy here. And then also in Mars' sign of Aries, there is Jupiter, right? Who owns the last fire sign. And there happens to be Rahu there as well. So what does this mean? There's a lot of this like explosive-ish energy present, okay, in this transit. Now, diving deeper into this. Okay, so we know that Rahu and Jupiter are both in Aries. Okay, now we also know that Rahu and Jupiter both aspect Leo where Mars is sitting, right? So they both kind of affect each other in a little bit of a different way. We also know that Saturn is in Aquarius, okay? And it aspects Leo, and Mars aspects Saturn back in Aquarius, and Saturn in Aquarius aspects Aries, right? So right off the jump, the most important part of this transit is actually where Sun is. But just before we get into that, what does this mean? So Mars in Leo means, yeah, there's a little bit of that explosive energy present in Leo, right? You want to do things Leo related, which what is Leo related? Leo related is very self-fulfillment things, right? Just self-fulfillment things, just in general. So now you tie in here just at a very general gist Saturn's influence, Rahu's influence, and Jupiter's influence. You basically get, long story short, you basically just get a lot of more energy and awareness present here in Leo as well. Okay, directly or indirectly. Okay, directly would be like Saturn being across from Leo, or Rahu and Jupiter also aspecting Leo, and indirectly would be the fact that all three of these also influence Aries, which is a main sign of Mars, and Mars happens to be in Leo, right? So that's how these three indirectly affect Leo. Now, a little bit deeper on how these three tie into this. So Jupiter is basically what? The consciousness. So it's going to add a little bit of that. Okay, so Mars is going to try to get you to start doing some self-fulfilling things, right? And the strong focus on Mars owns two signs, right? Aries and Scorpio. So the stronger focus is going to be on Aries, right? Why? Because not only is it its main sign, it's got those two planets there, right? So focus is definitely going to be on starting new things. So starting new self-fulfilling things, right? Now Jupiter is going to make sure that some consciousness is present, right? Rahu's going to make sure that you're definitely doing things that fulfill, certain egotistical desires. And Saturn's going to be making sure that it slightly makes it so that some karma is fulfilled. Now, why do I use the word slightly? It's because it's retrograde, okay? But it's going to make sure that there's some little karmic twist there, okay? Now, all this being said, you need to understand that Leo is still the sign of the sun, okay? So the sun is what? The sun is your identity, right? So, yeah, sure, the consciousness is present. Saturn's present, that karmic awareness. Rahu's present, which is the illusion, right? Which is like, it's not really good for the identity. So, yeah, there's a lot of energy here, a lot of opportunity to start new things. But you do need to understand that the ego is still in charge of starting these new things, right? So you just got to be aware of everything. Now, so there's a great opportunity to start new things, right? But you have to understand that it's from the perspective of the ego. Now, where is the ego, right? So the ego for this transit is like, it's at the end of Gemini and throughout the whole Cancer, right? So this energy, right, like this 1.5 sign section is basically kind of just like, you could almost say like, actually, I'm not going to generalize it, okay? the end of Gemini, okay, Gemini represents self-efforts, right? But it's more like, the end of Gemini is more like the Purnavasu portion of self-efforts, right? Where it's kind of like the self-efforts that Purnavasu is ruled by Jupiter, right? So it's kind of like your last section of self-efforts, right? And then Cancer is obviously like comfort, nourishment, things like that. Now, Mars, we know, is an explosive planet in the sign of Leo, right? So, as I just said, you're kind of going to want to start all this self-fulfilling things from a standpoint of ego, right? Now, the ego is where I just said, at the end of Gemini and Cancer. So, what this means is that a lot of the things they could start, right, for the ego could be to, for example, throughout the second half of this transit, because Sun's in Cancer, it could be to feel or to give more like nourishment or to enjoy more comforts or something like that, right? Or at the beginning of this transit when Sun is in Gemini, it could be you start something fulfilling to kind of expand yourself further in the area of self-efforts, okay? How could this play out? Okay, I'll give you one example of each right off the top of my head. So the second one, the Cancer part. So Mars is in Leo, right? It's got all this explosive, ready to go energy, and especially with Rahu and Jupiter's influence. And Sun is in Cancer, right? So this is the second half of this transit. So you could start something that makes you feel more comforting, or that could makes you feel some sense of nourishment, right? So what could this mean? Let's just say you live. Actually, this example could actually go either way for the end of Gemini portion or the Cancer. So I'll actually just use this example for both. It depends on kind of how you're looking at this. Let's just say you live about 2 hours away from your family, right? And you don't really go see them that much. Let's just say you just don't like to drive or whatever. This Mars in Leo, it could get you to possibly take the initiative to start driving home, or like start that pattern, if that makes sense. Okay. You know why? So Mars is in Leo, right? So, and Leo's Lord Sun is in the end of Gemini in Cancer. So it's like you're starting this thing, right? To receive like comfort, nourishment, and possibly also put in self efforts in like a Purnavasu Gemini kind of way. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty much, and it also has a little bit of that karmic flavor from Saturn, right? So this example I feel like was pretty good. And it also has elements of Jupiter and Rahu tied into there, right? Because Jupiter is a consciousness, right? It wants you to be with your family and things like that. And then also like you always learn from your family and stuff. And then Rahu is the illusion, right? So there, and which also governs desire. So there could be some element of desire is present when you go visit your family or whatever. Okay. But this is just kind of one example. Okay. One quick example of something that could possibly play out, but it's not really the specific example I want you to focus on. It's more I just gave you an example to help you possibly connect all the dots with this general abstract example I gave. Okay. You need to see how this is going to play out for you, right? What houses are all these signs in? What dashas are you running? Things like that, right? You need to see. But I kind of just started this now. I kind of just said this just to kind of get the ball rolling for you. Okay, that's what these videos are for. It's not necessarily to give you the specific answers, okay? Anybody who's trying to give you the specific answers on these kind of transit videos, it's most likely not going to apply to you that well, okay? And even if it does, there's a very low percentage of it applying to you that specifically. And so therefore it's not really that reliable when you look at other transit videos, okay? So just a little side tangent, but just something I wanted you to know. So that's it for this video, okay? If you have any questions or comments, you can feel free to let me know. And until next time, I'll talk to everyone later. Thank you all very, very much for watching.